Lesson number 6. So, lesson number 6, ready to go. My goodness. Whirlwind, eh? 2 a week now. We're getting there. I've got my test booked, the Mod 1 test book for the end of this September. So, and I'm away for some holiday time. So I've not got a lot of time here to get these skills perfected. So, wish me luck.
Second exercise, the first part, off the side stand, out the way, and best to push from the back, to jump to the reverse shape. That was easy. Sit on the bike. Slalom and figure of 8. Always on the clutch. Just a little bit of throttle. And you're ready. Start the engine first.
Guys, how you doing? Sunday, the 20 whatever it is of September, and here at the centre, Mervyn, doing my practice. I've got my Mod 1 test on Tuesday, so I was down there yesterday. We'll see some of the footage, doing all the mock tests. The day I'm back, doing a wee bit of practice before we do the big test on Tuesday.
feel you can do it before the pole by all means.
Aye. But then come to the pole and stop.
No, you can go by.
And stop.
Once you straighten up on the other side, you stop.
Oh, you want me to do a U-turn over here?
Oh, the whole 2 days.
Oh, brilliant.
2 days.
2 days.
Still half a metre narrower.
Right. Right, that be and that be, is it?
Got a lot more space than you think.
Right.
But what you want to practice is being able to do U-turn as tight as you can,
Aye.
but as comfortably as you can.
Right. Oh, so that's me, mod 1 practice complete, ready for the test Tuesday morning. So how am I feeling? Have I got what it takes? Time will tell. This has really brought a challenge to us, you know, this has challenged us in bringing these questions up. You know, have you got what it takes? Can you do this? Learning to do things that you know you've never done before. So great challenge, great to feel alive, great to feel growth. So looking forward to Tuesday. Bring it on. Some bad news. Just after mod 1 test, and I failed it on minors. Hadn't took my looking at my shoulder observations enough, so I failed on these wee minors, more than 5, not looking over my shoulder enough. So oh boy, a bit gutted, but hey, failure's no final, thank God for that. So give me more determination to go and try again. This is my last practice in before the mod 1 retest. You know, my second chance, my second take at this test on Wednesday. So, ready to go, learn the lessons, you know, look over my shoulder, go a bit faster. So, all good, in the hood, excited, ready to go. Here we are. Round 2, ding ding. So morning of the mod 1 test, my retake. Nerves. I'm not going to do the same mistakes as last time. I'm going to check on my shoulder. So I will let you know how I go on. Second test, fail. Totally gutted, disappointed. Passed it all the first time except for these wee minors. We're in the day and done the U-turn. Never, the clutch control, whatever happened, I had to put my foot down. Immediate fail. Never went on. I just thought, just get by. But so really no impressed. But failure's no final. Need to get back up, put the practice in, get back on it. So there you go. Who said this was going to be easy? The next thing is the testing, and my experience was, you know, I went on you know, through the process of the learning to ride the bike, the theory test, the mod 1, the module 2, and it really, these tests brought something up. you know, when I was younger, I done my theory test and I studied the book overnight. I was ill prepared, but I passed it because I read the things and I remember that, I don't know that. And the next day I winged it basically. But this one, I spent 30 days doing mock tests. So I knew I was getting 98 to 100% right, but because I kept training and preparing myself. So that I'm going down to Kendal because last year with the lockdown, you know, there was no theory test centres in Scotland had any availability for months on end. So for me, I went down to Kendal, and it was like, I was so grateful of the process because I had to put myself in this testing arena, which gave me the opportunity to actually prove what's test your metal, what you're made of. And you know, for me, because of the insecurity of the past, that's where this safety's all about. Play it safe, you know, and be scared of the testing, when actually the testing is what God uses to you know, prove and reinforce and strengthen. I'm in you. I'm showing you. You have got what it takes when you walk with me through these things. And my experience, the mod one, the module one part of the test, I failed it twice, and there was some real deep learning for me because it was once the first issue was a clutch cable. That I'm in the test centre, and the clutch cable, I couldn't put the thing in. I couldn't put the bike into neutral, and I'm panicking. So that panic, I owned it all. It was on me, and so I started not looking over my shoulder and doing my light. They call it a lifesaver, check, and I failed my test because I got 6 minor faults rather than you're only allowed 5. But I went away and I was down in myself. But then I found out that I didn't admit this to myself till maybe a week later, you know. But that was to do with I couldn't get that into neutral. So then that panicked me. So I was going, what's that all about? How is it I just made myself put it on me? You know, it was my fault. Next test, you couldn't write this. I go to to meet my trainer, and somebody had been on the bike the night before and fell off it, and the handlebars were like, it wasn't straight with the wheel alignment. So he just whacks the thing off the lamppost, straightens it up, gets his tools out and Allen key and tightens the thing. But I'm on the road down here to go to the test, and I'm going, the handlebars are sitting off here, you know. And I told him, I goes, no, but some bikes have got a wee bit of an off. So I accepted that, and I get into the test. I'm confident as then, had my time in the morning, I had this guidance, and again, and I do a U-turn. Now you can't have any flaws on a U-turn. You can't put your feet down. I do this U-turn that I've done my eyes shut for weeks, and I come to the top end to the turn, and I couldn't complete it. I had to put my foot down. Immediate fail. I'm going, what? Right, so again, I'm down on myself, and I was quite shaken. Comes thinking, goodness me, I was raging. When I get back to the unit with the guy, I tried to do a U-turn, and I couldn't do the U-turn there either. The handlebar was whacking after the engine. So, you know, it was, again, at the time, I'm blaming myself. So it was exposing me to a degree that your responsibility is you shouldn't go on a bike that's not properly, that's not working right. Yeah. But you have to have the strength to be able to discern that and speak up about it. But, but that really tested my mettle, because then, you failed twice. And then this test is getting bigger and harder, So, do any of you feel that you've got any to share around how God, and through this journey, there's been a test, there's been testing, there's been trials that have actually, instead of misinterpreting them like we used to, that this is terrible, you know, how's this keeping happening? You're actually seeing, no, this test is actually proven. This test is it's giving God an opportunity to initiate something in me through this. Is there any you getting to share on that?
Well, maybe just briefly, since you brought the letter up, and I have said God's moving into me a role of fathering me through my kids. Now, my kids are grown-up kids, they've got their own kids, you know, so I've got grandkids to these kids, you know, and I've always, through that lens, came from the same background as the guys, you know, alcohol and drug addiction, you know, so my kids were never brought up properly and never actually seen them. I abandoned them. So once I got them back into my life, to play it safe, I just backed down to everything. And I was never a father. I was a yes man, you know, because I didn't want to rock the boat. Didn't who have I to tell them what to do after what I've done in their life, you know, it's my fault, they're the way they are. You know, so all this stuff has played out over the last 20 years since I've been sober. But situations have arose where I had to stand up and confront two of my sons. One at the beginning of the year and one just recently. I'm not going to get into the details, but what I would normally do is paste the cracks, just agree to disagree, or this kind of language, you know, and then just move on, and nothing was resolved. But God, in His wisdom, stopped me and fathered me in that area, and He says, no, this has to stop. And I says, well, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a father because I was never a father. You know, so I'm needing guidance in this. So prayed with you guys, and you guys prayed me with the first situation. And God fathered me through that. And through that era period of 6 months, maybe for the February this year, maybe last year, sorry, to now, so maybe about a year, that relationship with that boy has now changed. You know, are we in a total fatherless son place? No. But we're in a better place than we were the 19 year before. You know, and this process has now repeated itself with my eldest son. And this is just recent. There's been a lot of uneasiness since about November, and it came to a head practically 2 weeks ago. You know, and I walked away and I really didn't know what to do, and I phoned yourself, and we had a chat, and after back of your chat, you says to write a letter. You know, so I wrote a letter for the first time in my life, and this boy's 38. And the first time in my life I wrote a letter and I was honest. I was about honest how I felt I've been treated, and how I've treated him. You know, I put my hands up, but I says, no, this has to stop. You know, and I'm now in the process of writing another letter to explain why the way that I'm really are. Because I've started it, and I says, to know somebody, you need to know their story. So now I'm going to tell you my story. I've not got any further in the letter, but now it's a process. I think we're going to have communication through the letter, because it's never worked before, because tempers get raised, shutters go up, and then gets dismissed. But we can't do this with the letter. So I think through this process, I think God's going to heal. I know God's going to heal this relationship, but they knew it has to be done by letter. It can't be done by word. You know, so this is now that practical side of being tested, because this is really big in my life, because I'm the one tested in this area, because I don't know this area. You know, So God is now using this situation. And for the first time I've walked into the pain. I've not walked away from it.
Brilliant, man. Well done, mate. Great. You boys, what about you, Paul? Charles, do you feel?
I don't know if I would describe any situations as testing. There's been opportunities to see areas of growth, or I've been able to recognise some situations where I would be, inclined historically to think in a certain way. The beginning, end of last year, a good friend of mine died, and a work colleague, and I remember that the different thoughts and all that I experienced at the time. But remember a minute ago talking about the emotional stuff, and I remember, I was shocked, saddened, I had regret that we didn't get a chance to do some of the things that we'd spoke about, that procrastination to a degree, but then there is the element of you need to be realistic about what time you've got, both of us have young families and all that, and we both took for granted that we would always have the years to come to do certain things. So there was mixed emotions, but one of the things that I felt in myself was that trying to diminish my own feelings about the situation. By thinking things like, well, there was plenty of other people in his life who knew him better than me, and all that stuff. And all that was an attempt for me to suppress those feelings and not fully acknowledge the sadness and the loss that I'd experienced. And that loss was greater to other people, i.e. his wife and his kids, for sure. But that was an attempt. Those thoughts that I was getting were an attempt for me to say, look, basically just man up. It's worse for other people. And that's what I've done my whole life. Just diminish those things as if I shouldn't really be upset about this. When I was, because he was a really good friend. Outside my home, I mean, we guys are close and we would meet regularly, weekly. But I was spending time in this boy's presence 2 or 3 times a week, and what started as a colleague work relationship became a friendship, and I think that was one of the things I never really even noticed until just before he died. That's what I mean. Obviously, I knew he was my friend and we were close, but the depth of our relationship only became apparent fully when that happened. And I felt lots of different emotions about that. But I say that stuff to try and, communicate the ways in which I've dealt with my emotions, been quite critical, and as if it doesn't really matter. Like I said, kind of no feeling that you're good enough, or you're not really that important, or other people have got it worse, or it was worse for them. But I minimise. That's it. Minimising those things. But what that has brought about in my life is the fact, I've not got that friend and I've not got that work colleague. So I'm now continuing to do some of the work that we were doing together, and I'm being exposed to a group of kids, teenagers. Where there was 2 people there before to manage the situations, then it's just me, and you realise actually, being honest with myself, how ill-equipped and how much experience that I lack in those situations, because it's all right before when you've got somebody there, that mutual support to bounce off. It's not just me trying to correct them and guide them, somebody else is doing it. I'm not the responsible person there all the time. I don't need to fill the time there myself because there's 2 of you, and then you're exposed and it's just boom. No, it's just me. And that's where, when I mentioned about feeling inadequate coming in, actually the realisation, I mean, since that's happened, obviously these kids were used to having the 2 of us, and then it's just me. I'm processing and dealing with my own grief, and trying to manage and adjust. And in that, a bit of respect and a bit of authority in the situation gets lost. And then just recently, I'm actually being honest with myself and saying, wait a minute here, I've dropped the ball here, through circumstances. So I need to go in and reassert the authority, go in and start living out what I actually believe, you know, and actually what I feel God's saying to me and who I'm in these situations, because I don't have years of experience in these situations. But what I do have, I've got life experience of being that kid at that age. I've got lived experience of making the wrong choices, but more importantly, I've got a good chunk of years of making better choices and learning to work through consequences, learning to work through situations and becoming more resilient. That's what they need. You know, so I do have what it takes. But just because I've not worked in the context of a school myself for any period of time, you automatically disqualify yourself. When actually my heart is to reach out to these kids. Nobody said I needed to continue to do that. I would have been perfectly within my right to say, no, now's not the time, we need to wait till somebody else comes on board. I need to process myself. And I'm like, no, because they kids matter. They need consistency and continuity. And I remember getting in that first day, man, I was struggling emotionally. I really was. And I'd actually said I wasn't going to be in, and I decided to go in because they were hurting as well. Some of them knew him longer than me, and they had to be there. So I was prepared to just go in, and I didn't need any lofty lingo or, you know, any big great speech or anything like that. Just being in and being real and saying, look, this is bizarre here. It's just us and he's missing. You know, and we're feeling it. I'm feeling it. Believe me, I don't want to be in this situation, but this is where we are.
Just being vulnerable.
Just being vulnerable with him. So, I mean...
sounds like a test.
It's been
a testing time.
It's been a testing time. It's been a testing time, but it's been an opportunity for God, for me to prove God that what He says about me is true, and that the person He's made me and wants me to be is a reality. You know, it's not just this idea that's away out there that's unattainable. And you know, I'm seeing the fruits of that. So I mean, it's God wants us, like I said, comes back to that. Your heart is free, have the courage to follow. And I believe that's what He wants for us. He wants us to be sure in who we are in Him, and be sure and confident in who He's made us, and know the places that He's placed us is where He wants us to be, and being free just to operate in that without all the baggage and this and that, and you know, all the doubting and questioning that can come that just hinders you, that makes you unfruitful, and other people pick up on it.
No, so the testing for me, I've been through a lot of tests, but I'm realising as I get through the test, being fathered by God and letting God, I don't always get the victory in it straight away. Some of them are severe, especially in ministry. You know, I deal with people, you know, that are really broken, you know, broken chains in the name of charity. And we deal with folk from addicted backgrounds, mental health and all that. So you're dealing with folk that are struggling. Sometimes, you know, there can be, you know, conflict, there can be trials, there can be all sorts of things. And to deal with that in a godly manner and deal with, you know, so there's battles. But what I'm realising is, as I stay faithful and I get my support network and I be fathered by God in that through every battle, if I check my own self, if I've dealt with it to the best of my ability, then there's usually more character comes in me. Perseverance produces character, you know. So in the trials, like even the past couple of days, I felt there was, you know, stuff happening that I had to deal with. And as I've been dealing with that, I'm growing as a person. I'm growing in my understanding of who God is, and I'm growing in my confidence in who I am. You know, so that the trials are nice, you know, but I see it, the bigger picture, that God is teaching me in the trials. Like, He can't just put you in a wee island somewhere and teach you these trials. When we go through these, as Jesus did go through the trials, He grew in stature with God and with man. And as we go through these trials, if we seek God to get us through the trials and we learn wisdom as we're going and stuff, and we make mistakes, and if we learn by their mistakes, then we become, you know, more able the next time. 2 examples is, you know, the trials have been quite hard, but when I've went to God for the solution, it's been miraculous. how the trials have turned round about and nearly fallen out with folk, but then coming to bringing God into the centre and yous are reconciled. Do you know what I mean? And you see what you really love each other and the other stuff goes away. Do you know? So that's through that I've grown. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully the other people have too. So two things when you're talking about your identity through trials. I took one funeral of a boy that the boy that died I grew up with, and for then I've took so many, right? And I've got another one next week. I've been asked today the brother that the first funeral I took, and the other brother's in recovery, right? So, but two funerals stand out to me because it's really hard for me because I was dyslexic and I wasn't confident in doing this, but God just put me there. This is what I want you doing through experience, and you know, some of them have been very difficult, but I've had to learn for God how to do them, what to say, how to say it, and everything like that. As I say, my wee oldest son, he's 20 now, and he had a wee pal that died, 20-year-old, cancer. And I was asked to take the funeral, and Gordon, who's the cameraman the day, he helped me, you know, and when I prepared to do it, and God helped me, and I took the eulogy and everything, but when I went to do it, we were trying to get the songs for everyone blue jeans, all the boys singing to their pal who died and that, and God gave me words to say, but when I went there, I felt this fear come on me, you know, just before, because I seen there was 3, 4, I don't know how many folk was there, when they're all filling, I thought, I can't do this, do you know what I mean, the fear come on me, but then I just thought, God, you need it through me. Do you know what I mean? I knew it wasn't just me, it was the trial, do you know what I mean? And it went as far as a funeral can go in a terrible situation, it went as well as it could go. And the wee mum was very comforted and everybody said it went really well, you know. And then one recently was, that's one of my sons, it was his best pal, and my other son, Lucas, my middle boy, his papa died. That's my ex's dad, you know, and we've got a good relationship. And I got asked to take his funeral. And I prepared and I got everything right, and I was best I could with getting the knowledge, getting the eulogy together. And as soon as I walked up, I seen a girl that day as I went to take the funeral, and the fear just come on me. And I thought, you can't, and I started to panic, you know. But then I went in and I had a wee prayer, and I said, God, you need, that's what I word. I said, God, you need to father me in this. I had prepared, so we still need to do that. You need to father me in this, help me.
Yep.
Help me. And it went really well again. Do you know what I mean? We gave him a great send-off, and it's no saying, oh, look what I done, but there's no way I could do that. I couldn't read, you know, and by the grace of God and by the fatherhood of God, I was able to bring comfort to my wee boy who brought the coffin in to bury his papa and honour the man and honour the family as well. And that's been fathered by God, and that's gone through trials and him bringing, you know, our true identity out as well.
Brilliant. To me, it's like, who in their right mind doesn't want to get through a life and go, I live for what mattered most. As I've seen for the film Gladiator, and Maximus is leading his army to fight in Germany, I think it was, the Roman army, and he says, what you do in life echoes in eternity. But what I feel is what you do for eternity echoes in eternity. Kind of courage that's required to follow God, to face up to your own pain that's damaged, that's left a trail of pain for others. That's what that'll echo in eternity. The heroic courage that was required to actually say, God, I'm letting you into this area. To be able to say, you know, through all this pain and these tests that have disqualified me from being what I think I should be, that I just defer to others. I'll rely on them to be like that. When actually God's saying, I've got a plan for every one of you. I want you all to shine. I want you all to take your place and rise up and be able to courageously lead and change yourself, change your family, change your community, change your nation, change your world. The morning of the 9th of November 2021. This is my third attempt before I go and do my mod 1. I had some issues The last couple of times the bike I've been on, the clutch cable wasn't working, I couldn't get it into neutral, and I immediately panic and never look over my shoulders, and I get a feel on the minors. The second time there was a problem with something had fell off the bike a day before, and it had taken all the steering out and the handlebars, and I got to do a U-turn and I couldn't do a U-turn, but I took this as my fault. I didn't see it at the time. So anyway, all these things are corrected, and this is me the day getting on the bike, going to go and get a shot. Happy days. Good news, as I bet you can tell. That's me, done the mod 1, passed it today. Bike was tickety boo, and no hiccups, nothing to trip me up the day, so overcame it. So happy days. So glad that's it, over and done with. Next step is a mod 2, and that's the road test when you're out on the road driving, just like your driving test. So looking forward to that, so bring it on. The mod 2, the last part of the big boy licence.
But they never seem to reach their full potential because those issues in the past have never had a chance to be unearthed, to be exposed to the light.